got so much fucking design on right now.
Paris romance revealed, Junho and Yoona caught holding hands at Fashion Week. What if I told you that beneath the glittering lights of Paris Fashion Week, amid the camera flashes, designer chaos, and whispered conversations of the elite, two of Korea's most beloved stars were caught in a moment that words can't explain? Because that's exactly what happened. When Junho and Yoona were seen, not as co-stars, but as something much more. Hold on tight, K-drama family. The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. The moment that stopped Paris, it was the final evening of Fashion Week, the kind of night where the world's attention shifts to Paris. The air was alive with energy, luxury cars lined the Champs-Élysées, and the world's most powerful figures in fashion were gathered beneath one roof. Inside the venue, the lights dimmed. The crowd hushed. The show had begun. But in one corner of the front row, where A-list celebrities and international influencers sat, all eyes slowly turned to two familiar faces. Junho and Yoona. Dressed in flawless monochrome. Seated side by side. Their expressions calm, but their chemistry undeniable. At first, it seemed like coincidence. Two ambassadors for the same global brand, sharing a moment of polite conversation. But then, as the cameras flashed and the lights softened, something unexpected happened. Their hands brushed. Then lingered. And finally, their fingers intertwined. For a brief, breathless moment, Paris stood still. The models kept walking, the music played on, but the only story anyone could see was theirs. The footage that went viral within hours, the clip was everywhere. From TikTok edits to global entertainment news, one video dominated every feed, Junho glancing at Yoona, smiling softly as she whispered something back, her hand slipping gently into his. No words. No staged act. Just two people sharing a moment that looked too real to fake. Headlines exploded across Asia. Junho and Yoona's Paris moment sets the internet ablaze. From on-screen lovers to real-life romance? Fashion Week or Love Week, fans can't tell anymore. And for millions of fans who had followed their story since Kingtheland, it wasn't just a surprise, it was a dream come true. Behind closed doors, the whispered truth according to sources close to the event, their closeness wasn't accidental. The two stars arrived separately, yes, but insiders revealed that they requested seats next to each other. After the show, they didn't rush to the after-party like most celebrities. Instead, they slipped away quietly, accompanied only by their staff, walking through the quiet streets of Paris under soft evening lights. One bystander, a fashion blogger, recalled seeing them outside a small cafe near Place Vendôme. They looked peaceful, she said. No disguises, no panic. Just two people talking, laughing. And yes, still holding hands. Korea wakes up to chaos when morning came in Seoul. The news had already spread across the globe. Fans flooded social media with disbelief, excitement, and emotion. On Weibo, finally, they stopped pretending. 8 months of silence, and now this, in Paris. On Instagram, Yoona looks happier than ever. Junho too. This isn't PR, this is love. Even industry insiders couldn't contain it. One stylist posted cryptically, sometimes chemistry doesn't fade, it just crosses continents. Their team's response, and what it didn't say by noon, both agencies released short statements. Yoona's agency wrote, they attended the event as representatives of the same brand. They remain good colleagues and friends. Junho's team echoed the same words, no special relationship. But fans weren't convinced. Because this time, it wasn't rumor or speculation. It was real footage, warmth, affection, and a quiet kind of intimacy that no press statement could erase. The denials only added fuel to the fire. Every interview, every shared glance, every old behind-the-scenes video from Kingtheland was suddenly re-examined in slow motion. And the more fans watched, the more they believed. The emotional connection that never faded, because here's the truth, even when the cameras stopped rolling, even when the drama ended, Junho and Imyoona's connection never really disappeared. During interviews, they often spoke about each other with admiration and softness that hinted at something deeper. When asked about working with Yoona, Junho once said, "She makes the hardest days feel light." And Yoona, during her own press tour, confessed, "Some co-stars leave after the drama ends. Some stay in your heart." Those words, once dismissed as professional courtesy, now carried an entirely different weight. The night after the headlines that evening, as Paris glowed under soft rain, a few fans spotted them again, this time at the balcony of their hotel. She was in a long coat, laughing. He stood beside her, looking out at the Eiffel Tower, his arm casually resting behind her back. No cameras. No PR team. Just a quiet, beautiful moment between two people who had learned to love under the world's gaze, and in spite of it. The backroom whispers when the final model left the runway and applause thundered through the grand hall. The stars began to file out, influencers, editors, celebrities. But while most hurried to the after-party, Junho and Yoona took a different path. According to eyewitness accounts from brand staff, the two were quietly escorted through a private hallway leading backstage. No photographers. No publicists. Just dim light, faint music, and the muffled sound of the Paris rain outside. There, surrounded by racks of designer gowns and half-empty champagne glasses, they finally exhaled. Yoona, still glowing from the flashbulbs, leaned against the wall, laughing softly. Junho, removing his suit jacket, looked at her and said, almost under his breath, "It's strange. We've been through so many stages, but this one feels different." She smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Because this one's real," she replied. The photograph that was never released, a staff photographer, tasked with capturing exclusive post-show portraits, accidentally caught a glimpse of them. Not posing. Not performing. Just standing close, their reflections merging in a mirror framed by gold lights. Yoona's head tilted slightly, Junho's hand resting protectively near her back. The image was never published officially, but those who saw it described it as a moment that didn't belong to the runway, but to them. Rumor has it that the photographer, moved by what he saw, quietly deleted the shot after saving one copy. And when asked why, he said, "Because some stories are too honest to sell." The dinner that followed later that night, they were spotted at l'Avenue, one of Paris's most discreet celebrity restaurants. They didn't book a private room, they simply sat in a quiet corner, away from the crowds. Junho ordered steak. Yoona chose pasta. They laughed often, spoke softly, and clinked glasses of red wine in a quiet toast that no one could hear. A waiter later recalled, they weren't like other famous couples. No theatrics, no hiding. Just, gentle. You could tell they were comfortable, like they'd known each other long before tonight. At one point, Yoona took out her phone to show Junho something. Fans speculate it was a picture from their kingtheland days. Whatever it was, he smiled, reached across the table, and said, "That was the moment I knew I'd never forget you." She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The ride back to the hotel as they left the restaurant close to midnight, Paris was quiet again. Raindrops painted silver lines across the cobblestone streets. The two walked side by side, umbrellas touching. When they reached the waiting car, Junho opened the door for her. But before she stepped inside, she hesitated, and turned. For a heartbeat, they just looked at each other. No paparazzi. No screaming fans. Just the city lights glinting off their faces. And then, she reached out. Her hand brushed against his cheek, barely a second. He caught her wrist gently, kissed it once, and whispered, "Let them talk. We know what's real." Then he helped her into the car and followed after. The internet in chaos by morning, the headlines had turned into wildfire. Yoona and Junho's private Paris date? Restaurant witnesses confirm late-night dinner. Secret photos hint at real relationship between K-drama royalty. But fans weren't angry. They were emotional. Because this wasn't scandal, it was tenderness. Fan comments filled every thread. They deserve this happiness. You can't fake the way they look at each other. From co-stars to something deeper, maybe this was always meant to be. And one viral post summed it up best. In a world obsessed with pretending, they gave us something genuine, two people simply holding hands in the city of love. The truth about the Paris moment weeks later, a close friend of the pair revealed in an interview, they've always cared deeply for each other. Paris wasn't a PR stunt. It was just two people reconnecting far from home, where they could finally be themselves. And when asked if the rumors were true, if Junho and Yoona were really together, the friend smiled and said, "If you saw how they looked at each other that night, you wouldn't need to ask." The city remembers Paris has seen countless love stories, from poets to presidents, from fleeting flings to timeless romances. But that night in 2025, under its rain-soaked skies, it witnessed something rare, a moment of truth between two people who have spent years learning to love quietly. No scripts. No cameras. Just a heartbeat shared in the world's most romantic city. And perhaps that's why fans around the globe can't stop talking about it. Because even now, weeks later, one question still lingers in every heart: was that night in Paris the beginning, or the confession we'd all been waiting for?